What's up, everybody? Irving TV, Double I TV, whatever you guys want to call me, as long as it's nothing disrespectful, because if it gets disrespectful, just know I got Will Smith on speed dial, so keep my name out your mouth. And I'd like to welcome y'all to episode 14 of Squirrel Moments, the podcast. Today is April the 29th. I'm currently recording this 12:26 p.m. Today is a Friday, so today I'm off, because if I wasn't off, I would be recording this, but hope everybody's doing good today. Whenever you watch this or whenever you listen to this, which the audio version is on Anchor.fm, Spotify, and other platforms. I don't remember which platforms they're on. I know it's also on Google Podcasts as well. And also if you're watching on youtube.com/iIrvingTV. Yeah, episode 14. I've been doing this for a little bit now. I don't think it's been a full year since I started the podcast. I don't know. I just know, it hasn't been a full year yet, because we're on episode 14. I know I took that brief hiatus and whatever, but blasey blah, whoopty whoop, whatever. But anyway, episode 14. Let's get to it. Actually, before we get to it, again, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody. Thank everybody that watch or listen to the previous episode of the podcast. That was a little bit more of a at the end, a little bit more personal. But the reason why I decided to talk about that, because first of all, I'm real big when it comes to mental health stuff, and I feel like if I kind of open myself up, it can help somebody else out. And again, I don't do this for the woe is me's, the boo-hoo. I don't do it for that. I do it legitimately to help people. So I appreciate everybody that watched and listened to that to the previous episode. And for everybody that's listening right now, whatever platform you're on, Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, wherever other platforms you're listening to on, go ahead and give me a good rating. Give me honest rating, but I prefer 5 stars. 5 stars. And if you're watching the video version on YouTube, go ahead and press the like button. Go ahead and share. Go ahead and drop a comment. All that stuff, because all that stuff helps out with the algorithm. That way it can push up not only the video but also the audio version as well, so that way we can get a bigger audience, get some more people listening and watching and all that stuff. And also, if you want to, you're not obligated to do this. Y'all are not obligated to do this, but if y'all want to, if y'all want to support everything that I'm doing, you can always make a donation through my Cash App, which is $IRvingTV, or just by listening to the audio version, because I have an ad in the beginning. So by listening to the audio version, that also helped me as well. But again, if you don't want to do it financially, like, share, comment. Again, just listening to the audio version just helps out. I don't really get paid that much, but still everything counts. So, but anyway, let's get to it. The first thing I would like to let y'all know is I'm finally done with school. Well, at least for now. I'm done for the rest of the year. Finals are done. I actually finished my finals early. So yeah, I got that done early. And the only reason why I'm finished with school, at least for the year, because the last class I got to take before I get my certificate, it's not available. It's only available during the spring semester. And technically I could have taken it this semester, but with my work schedule wouldn't have worked out, because this class that I took was in person. Well, technically it was a hybrid class, so it was both in person and online, but I did it mostly online. I think I only went to class like 3-4 times throughout the whole semester. So and thank goodness the class is real easy. It was just the name of the class is graphic web design, but really it's just Photoshop. So it just teaches you how to use like the basics of Photoshop and all that kind of stuff. So But yeah, so hopefully with me being done with school, at least for the year, I can focus more on content creation. Also, maybe work some overtime so that way I can get some more money, because your boys, I'm tight on the podcast. But anyway, y'all don't need to know my financial situation. I touched on that before, but I ain't gonna get too deep into that. But yeah. And what's funny about school is I've been going to school since 2018, because originally my plan was to get my associate's degree. But after I started thinking about it and sitting back on it, I was like, and mind you, I go to school part-time because I work full-time. So after I sat down and thought about it, I was like, you know what? I already don't like school. I hate school. But then I was like, you know what? Let me just go for the certificate program instead, because that way I can do direct, the classes that I really need. So that way I can get certified and I don't have to stay in school too long, because I'm tired of school. I'm done with school, whatever. Because originally when I went in to get my associate's degree, well, this is the story. This is the story of why I decided to go back to school. First, it started off with I was encouraged to get a degree. And I was like, okay, I'll go ahead. I want to have that college degree because, my sister just graduated. She had her associates, and my mom, years back, actually, when I graduated high school, she got her associates, and everybody around me was getting degrees and all that stuff. So I was like, you know what? I got to go get me one. But then years down the line, well, first, it was like, okay, I want a degree, but what should I get a degree in? And after a while, I sat down and thought about it. So, you know what? Let's get into IT because I know how to work computers and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, let's go ahead and get my associate's degree. But the more I sit down and think about it, the more I was like, I really don't want a degree. I don't mind, the certificate just be fine just for me. It was more, the journey started with me just wanting the degree. Everything else didn't matter to me. Now it's like, all right, the career does matter, but the degree, I'm not pressed about a degree. As long as I get that certificate and it allows me to get into my field, then I'm fine with that. The degree, and I may just go back and go for my associates, because I already took a couple classes that go towards the associates. But for now, like I say, I hate school, and I want to be more focused on content creation and saving up money and all that kind of good stuff. Because essentially, content creation is what I really want to do. But I just gotta, I just want to finish school and call it a day. But yeah, that's that. Another story. 2 weeks ago, right? I think it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago, I believe. So I did a video. I did an unboxing video of my Xbox Series S, right? I did an unboxing for that. And here's the funny thing. So the reason why I got the Xbox Series S, so that way with the X, which is in my bedroom, I don't have to keep moving that back and forth. Tell me why, as I was streaming, I'm playing Lego Star Wars, right? Mind you, this is the first time I get to play it. First day I get to play it. Within 3 hours, if that. Within 3 hours, I was playing Lego Star Wars, and the game just shut down on me. So I'm like, okay, this is weird. So I try to go back to the game. Whole Xbox just shut off. So I'm like, what the heck? What the heck is going on? Try to turn it on, it would not cut back on. And it was hot to the touch. I was like, okay, maybe it just, overheated, whatever, which is weird. But I was like, all right, whatever. It must be overheated. I gave it about an hour to cool down. I even got a cooling fan for my Series X, which also works with the Series S as well. Brung it into this room to cool it down as well. I even had a fan on it, whatever. And try to turn it back on. It would not turn on. It would turn on for like 2-3 seconds and then turn off. So yeah. But the good thing though is because I really literally just got it. It was a brand new Xbox Series S. It had a warranty on it. So shipped it off to Microsoft, blah, blah, whatever. So now I should be getting it back anytime soon. Actually, I should be getting it back today. They say it should be getting it delivered back today. So they say the two things is either they will fix it or they will replace it. So They didn't tell me what was going on. They just said, oh, we'll send it back to you. They didn't say what the problem was, whatever. Hopefully when they send it back, they'll have the paperwork, whatever. So I don't know if it's refurbished or if it's that same. I hope it's the same one because that thing looked fresh and clean. So fresh and it's me. I dress so fresh, so clean, so fresh, so clean. I didn't even know the words at first. But yeah, so I should be getting it today. Hopefully, I'll get it before I stream tonight. So, because I want to use that. I'm tired of bringing the Sirius X back and forth. Because one thing I'm paranoid about is a long time ago, I'm about to age myself. But when I had the original PlayStation, right? When I had the original PlayStation, I'm talking about the big rectangle one, not the small white one, but the big rectangle one. I used to always take it back and forth between my dad and my mom's house. I don't know what happened. Maybe I hit it. I don't know. But maybe during the transfer, it got messed up. Because I remember I went to my mom's house and I plugged it up. And the screen just kept bouncing. It was acting up or whatever. So I don't remember if we got it fixed or they just ended up replacing it. But ever since then, I've been very paranoid about moving consoles back and forth. Especially, going between my mom and my dad's house. So I get very paranoid when it comes to... And the Xbox Series X is heavy. It wasn't super heavy, but not only that, I have it attached to my cooling fan. So now I have to unplug everything, including the cooling fan. I have to pull it out, and it just work I don't want to do. It's not hard, but again, I'm gonna plug in all the cords and this, that, whoop. Then I have to go behind the TV. It's just annoying. So hopefully I get it back today, and yeah, I probably should have took it back to GameStop. They might have just let me switch it out, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, it got taken care of, so I should be getting that back anytime soon. Another thing that I tried to do last week, right? So I've been talking about Star Citizen a lot. If you've been watching my streams, which I try to stream Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. Although that might be changing soon. I'm not going to get to that now, but that might be changing in the next month or two. We'll see. But I try to stream every week. And I've been, which I should tune into, which I stream on Twitch now, which is twitch.tv/Irving TV. That's why I stream everything now. I used to stream between YouTube and Twitch. But now I just do exclusively on Twitch. And I still upload videos on YouTube, but all that kind of stuff. And I've been talking about Star Citizen a lot because if you don't know, Star Citizen is a sci-fi space action adventure game. You can get your spaceships. It's an open world, not even open world, open galaxy. You can go to different planets. You can do different jobs and all that kind of stuff. And it is incredible. It's very immersive. Think about No Man's Sky, but a little bit more immersive. Just think about it that way. Which is a game that's technically still being developed, but it's just a lot. It's just a great game that's still technically being developed. They didn't go to any publishers. They're just doing it by themselves, and it's crowdfunded as well. So not too long ago, finally bought it after a couple years of dragging my feet. Tell me why I tried to play it. And while it played, let's just say I need a stronger graphics card because the frames, it wasn't even holding at 30. It was way below 30. It was so bad. And I tried to lower everything, and even when I lowered everything, it was so choppy. So guess who got to upgrade their graphics card now? Which honestly, which gets to this. Y'all know for the longest, the graphics cards, especially the 30 series, the price has been through the roof. But I've been seeing a lot of headlines saying the price been decreasing. And at first I didn't care because I'm like, I'm good. But ever since this now, I'm like, okay, maybe time to start looking at graphics cards. I'm looking to the 30 series now, and I don't know where they were, but I know they was close to 1,000. I saw a few that was like $300, $400, $500. I'm like, okay, it might be time to upgrade. It's not gonna be anytime soon, But that's going to be my next investment. And the thing is, just like the Xbox Series S, my PC, all that stuff, everything that I have, my setup, is an investment. Because then I do, all that is for content for the channel and all that kind of stuff. So everything is an investment. So that's how I look at it. So it's like, okay, this is going to hurt my pockets a bit, but it's an investment. And I don't mind doing it. Isn't it? You see what I'm saying? So I don't mind making that investment once I get the money to do it. Because your boy, like I said, is tight pocketed. But anyway, that's a whole other story. But that's what's been going on the last few weeks. I know it's been a little bit since I dropped the episode of the podcast, but I'm trying to be consistently inconsistent. Let me drink some water real quick. Mouth's starting to get dry. Anyway, yeah, so that's my next goal. Get a new graphics card, and again, I want a 30 series. So that's that, because I really want to play Star Citizen. And now since I bought it, that's the thing about PC gaming. PC gaming, it's not super complex, but it's definitely an investment. It's definitely an investment because, and that's actually that's going to get to my first story that I have. We're gonna get to that in a second. It's just an investment because you're you're gonna want to upgrade eventually, because the more demanding these games get, especially with these new gen games, the more you're gonna have to upgrade your PC. But that's the good thing about PC. If you build your own PC, because I build my own PC. That's the good thing about it, is you don't have to buy a whole nother PC or buy a whole nother machine. Everything you need is, you could just upgrade the parts that you need. So that's that. So anyway, speaking of the first story, speaking of PCs and all that stuff, this is an interesting article that I came across. So apparently it takes NVIDIA 1.8 million hours to test drivers in 2021. That's a lot of hours. And for those that don't know what drivers are, basically what drivers are is a small software or a program that communicates between the hardware and the operating system. So let's just say, for example, right, I got this microphone. It's a USB microphone, right? I got it plugged up to the computer. When you plug it up, usually nowadays, most devices that you plug up to the computer, the drivers will automatically download. Sometimes you have to go to the website and actually download the drivers and whatnot. But basically what it is basically the language, is basically the program or the software. So that way, it's the language, so that way the hardware and the software or the OS can communicate. Because without that driver, the device is not going to work right, or probably not work at all. So again, talking about graphic cards, RAM, and all that kind of stuff, they need to be able to communicate properly. Because unlike with consoles, and this story is gonna this article is gonna explain it in a second. Unlike with consoles, where everything is just everything is just set, everything is locked, everything it use specific hardwares. When you build with PCs, especially when you're building it, you're using different devices. The graphics card might be NVIDIA, then the other brand of graphic cards, I think it's AMD, I believe. It's different brands for stuff. Then you have you have I can't think of it right now. What is it called? The GPU, not GPU, CPU. The processor, which right now the only two companies that makes it is AMD and Intel. So with all the hardware and all this stuff and the different combinations, it gets complicated, which why with PC games, like when console games first come out, they always come out first, and then later on the PC games come out. That's because with PC, it has to be optimized to work with all kind of equipment. So that's why it takes longer. It's starting to be a little bit quicker now, but it still takes a bit. That's why it took a while for God of War to come out on PC. That's why it took a while for Horizon Zero Dawn to come out on PC. And that's why even like with Xbox games and all other games, it took a bit for it to come out. Sometimes they come out right alongside each other, but usually the PC version isn't optimized that well. So with that being said, let's go to this article, and this article is from PCGamer.com, and it was published yesterday actually, and it reads as follows: a graphics card is nothing without a good driver. It's no leap to say that the quality of a graphics card comes down to the quality of its driver. You can have a card that can play Cyberpunk 2077 at 8K, 144 Hz with full ray tracing, but it wouldn't mean anything if you get constant stutters, crashes, or corrupted images. With that in mind, NVIDIA released a video that provides a glimpse into what goes into driver development. The video was posted on NVIDIA's YouTube channel via SWE Clockers. I think I'm saying that right. I'm not sure, but its release marks 7 years since it began its Game Ready driver program. One of the illuminated sections of the video talks about how much work goes into testing and verification. The video spent up to 1.8 million hours of testing in 2021 and conducts up to 1,000 tests per day on a wide variety of different hardware configurations. NVIDIA talked about how it doesn't release beta drivers, which hasn't always been the case, while giving its rival AMD a jab at the same time. Quote, because the Game Ready driver program and our promise of quality relies on all of this work, we do not release subpar beta drivers with minimal testing, let alone multiple conflicting beta drivers from different development industries that support different games and products, which confuses customers. PC drivers and graphics card drivers in particular are amazingly advanced pieces of software. Unlike a console, which I was discussing before, which is a closed system, PC graphics cards must work on countless hardware combinations with different operating systems and software installs as well. And on top of that, each game requires its own optimizations. The video says that its latest drivers can contain over 25 million lines of code. I would never do coding. I would never do coding or programming. I feel like it would drive me crazy. They pay a lot of money. It's usually 6 figures. But every time I read into it, it's I heard it is painstakingly, I'm not saying that right. I heard it's incredibly boring. I heard it's not that hard, but I heard it's very boring. And it just, I couldn't do it. Anyway, the video says that its latest drivers contain I've already read that, code, which is apparently similar to the amount of code in the flight systems of a modern day fighter jet. Wow. Without proper testing, a gamer will experience a loss of performance or consistency, latency spikes or crashes or glitches that can ruin the experience. The Game Ready program is designed to deliver day one stability and performance. There's nothing worse than having to wait for a driver update to fix a known bug. NVIDIA and AMD too deserves credit for the amount of work that goes into producing a good quality graphics driver. The internet has a long memory, and if a new AAA game or a graphics card come out, the PR backlash can be immense if the driver is below par. And this is a contributing factor behind the delayed release of Intel's Arc cards. Such a major launch demands a polished driver from day one. 1.8 million hours is a lot of testing. If your dream is to play games all day and get paid for it, NVIDIA sounds like a good place to work, second only to PC Gamer, of course. Anyway, yeah, like I said, that just the gaming industry alone is a lot of work that's put behind it. It's just a lot of work that's put behind it. Again, when it comes to PC gaming, it's much more complex than console gaming. Again, like the article said, like with the PlayStation, Xbox, the Switch, all of them has set hardware that they have. So when developers are working on games, hold on, this might be my my Xbox. Hold on, let me see. Yep, that sure is my Xbox. I'll be right back. I'm not leaving that outside. Alright, y'all. So sorry about that interruption. Yep, that was definitely my Xbox. So I got the paperwork in front of me. They didn't say exactly what was wrong with it. The only thing he says on here is what we did. We put your Xbox through rigorous hardware testing to ensure it meets our product quality and performance standards. They basically say what they tested, blah blah, whoopty whoop 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 whoop. Yeah, so yeah, like I said, they didn't say what they did. So I just know I got it back and it should be working now. But anyway, like I was saying, I don't even remember exactly where I was, but just know that with consoles, it's funny, we was talking about okay, good, they ain't got no address on it. Still gonna move it. Hold up. Alright, had to make sure. Didn't have my address on it, on the box. Anyway, yeah, with consoles, it has set hardware, so when developers are working on their games, they have what is called dev kits. The like Microsoft and Sony, all of them, Nintendo, they send them the developers dev kits so they know what hardware they're working with, so they can optimize it to the hardware that's in the consoles. But when it comes to PC, it's so much different hardware, so many different combinations that it's hard to optimize it. So yeah, but enough about that. The next article I have is about Halo Infinite, in which the Season 2 roadmap for Infinite angers fans. Now, I'm going to have a couple takes on this, but we're going to read this article first, which is from massivelyoP.com, and this was published on the 26th. Let's bring it up. And it reads as follows. Halo Infinite Season 2 roadmap angers some fans despite explanation of work-life balance. Excuse me. The next season of Halo Infinite has been promising long-standing fans of the series a lot of features, but the timing of those features was not quite so spelled out. That is until 343 Industries put out a roadmap post. Some of the primary multiplayer features are on target for the release, including new maps for arena and big team battle modes. Did I switch this over? Yeah, I did. 3 new game modes and a battle pass. Other features are being shuffled ahead. You know what's funny? We just had a huge squirrel moment when my Xbox came in. And I just had a squirrel moment just now, just pointing that out. But that's the point of this podcast. We have squirrel moments. We have them squirrel moments, some squirrely squirrel moments. Squirrels. Anyway. 3 new game modes and a battle pass. Other features are being shuffled ahead, including network campaign co-op for sometime in late August and an open beta of the Forge feature sometime in September. The post explains that much of this cadence is meant to cater to the priority zero of striking work/life balance for the devs. And this quote is from Microsoft in 343. We know we need to deliver more content and more features more quickly. Staying true to priority zero means that sometimes we need to slow down in order to stay healthy and move faster later. But we're also aggressively looking at ways to accelerate. Regrettably, a large number of fans on the game subreddit are displeased in spite of the reason behind the roadmap's pacing. Many players, in very unkind terms, I'm not surprised there, are calling the content updates a little too late or failed promises, while other reactions blame upper management for what's perceived as anemic updates and bad release timing. The full roadmap can be seen below. Click on them, blah, 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 and this is the roadmap if you're watching the video version. This is what I gotta say. I have a couple takes on this. Okay, I think we can all agree. Now, as much as I love Halo Infinite, I really did. The campaign was awesome, and the multiplayer was good. That being said, they could have pushed it back a little bit longer, because the game as a whole, if you want to call it a whole, there was things missing, like the co-op is missing, the Forge mode is missing, and there was some features on multiplayer that was missing. You know, things like that. And I didn't really complain too much about it, because I ain't gonna say there was no reason to. I just don't complain a lot. I just don't complain, or if I do, I kind of say my piece and just move on with it. Now, I know, and we were just talking about this. What it takes to develop a game. It takes a while. You know, it's a lot of money. It takes a lot of people to develop a game, and it takes time. And with the industry standard, there's a whole lot of crunching. And if you don't know what crunch is, it's like when the deadlines are coming up and, you know, people got to work much longer than they usually do. So let's just say, for example, they work like 5 days out the week or 4 days out the week for 10 hours a day. Right? But during crunch, it might be 12 hours a day for 5 days, 6 days, whatever. They'll spend a lot of time at work and being away from their family and all that stuff. And that could be stressful. That could be very stressful. And you're like trying to rush, hurry up. And this is why Halo Infinite was pushed back a lot. It was pushed back a lot. So when it comes to work-life balance, I like how now in the industry, I'm starting to notice more gamer development. Gaming. Woo! I promise y'all I can talk and read. Gaming studios, they're starting to lean more towards work-life balance. They're definitely trying to get away from the crunch culture. Like even like recently, Microsoft, since they acquired Activision Blizzard, they said that they was going to take a year break for Call of Duty. That's nice. They need the break anyway. They need it. They literally need it. But it takes a lot to go behind development. That being said, now that we got that out the way, First of all, let me say this. For anybody that's mad at the fact that, you know, that they're doing this for work-life balance, if you're mad specifically for that, you need to get a life. And the reason why I say that, first of all, there's a whole bunch of games. There's so many more games out here. If you get bored of Halo Infinite, play another game. And I always believe in if the product is not complete or the product is trash, make your statement and also vote with your wallets. Speak out with your wallets. Stop spending money on them. You see what I'm saying? Don't spend money on that company if you know that their product is trash or if it's not up to par. Because when they start losing money, then they're gonna start paying attention. You know, give some criticism, give some critique, and just by saying, you know, oh, this game sucks, y'all trash, that doesn't help. So get a life on that. Like I said, there's some things about Halo Infinite that, you know, it does feel like after a while I'm playing the same maps over and over and over again. And like what I did was I just stopped playing for a while. I literally had Halo Infinite delete off my Xbox because I needed to make some room and I wasn't really playing. I recently installed it back on it. Now, with that being said, 343, at least with upper man. See, okay, hold on. Let me go back real quick. See, what happened is the publishers want to hurry up and get a game out so they can make money, right? So they push these workers, they push these developers, and that's why the crunch happened, because they're trying to get it out through the before the try to meet deadlines. So it's really the publishers, and that's why Cyberpunk 2077 was a disaster, because the game was not ready, but the publishers wanted to hurry up and put out the game so they can make money before the holidays. That's what it was. So it's mostly the publishers that push the developers. The developers want a good game and this, that, and whatnot. So going back to what I'm ready to say now, this is going back to 343 and Microsoft. Now, I've always praised 343, right? You know, when everybody else gave them crap, you know, I've always praised them. Halo 4 was amazing. Halo 5 was, it wasn't terrible. It's just the story was very convoluted, you know. But I still enjoyed it. It wasn't like they made terrible games. You know, it wasn't like they was terrible, but it was definitely different, you know. So, and you know, it took about 6-7 years for them to develop Infinite. See, and what happened, you can tell they kind of, you know, because this was a spiritual reboot, right? Halo Infinite, because they realized the mistakes they was making, right? But there was a lot of changes, a lot of management changes, and one of the things that I've heard, I don't quote me on this, but one of the things I've heard was that there was problems in Paradise because instead of like having permanent workers, they had a lot of temp workers. So what's happening was, it was only people working temporarily, then they'll be out, and then they bring in a new group of workers. They had to train them, this, that, and the other, and then they would push them out after whatever their term was, their contracts, whatever. So there was a lot of switching of the guards, changing of the guards, a lot of staff that's being changed and whatnot. And like, that's hard to do when you have to basically catch everybody up every single whatever time period. So when people complain about the upper management, now, okay, we can definitely go with that. We can go with that because, and I agree, you know, the management should have definitely dealt with this much better. Because if you think about it, I always say this, you know, I gave Infinite its praise, you know, and I'm gonna continue giving it its praise. But I also, one of the biggest things I've always stood on is games being incomplete when they're being released. And unfortunately, while Halo Infinite was a better product than most, like, you know, like the launch of Cyberpunk 2077, Battlefield, Call of Duty, all that stuff, these games being incomplete, you know, all that stuff, the ones that I complained about, unfortunately, Halo Infinite falls in that category. And again, this is not me complaining, because I'm one of the ones that's positive about, you know, the Halo community, because the Halo community is now starting to get a little toxic, you know, with the exception of the Sacred Icon podcast. That community is so amazing, and I'm all over the place. Shout out to Brian and Josh. Their podcast is so amazing. Y'all should go ahead and check out the Sacred Icon podcast. And then they also have a Discord. The community is everybody's amazing there. Like, even when they have something, you know, some criticism, they keep it clean. You know, they keep it like, you know, it's not straight bashing or, you know, the toxic stuff. It's not toxic. It's positive. You know, if something is bad, they're very honest about it. And I love that community. But it's just, let's be honest, the game was still semi-incomplete because, again, it didn't come out with co-op, it didn't come out with Forge, just all that kind of stuff. So, to be honest, unfortunately, it falls into that category of being incomplete. Still came out a good product, don't get me wrong, but it definitely could have waited just a little bit longer. But, and I understand, like, because I have Game Pass, so I was going to get it regardless. But let's just say for the people that don't have Game Pass but actually spend money on the game, you know, they spend $60. Imagine spending $60 on a incomplete game. because that's why I haven't got Cyberpunk 2077. I was gonna get it, but then when I heard so much about it, I stayed away from it. Eventually, I'm gonna get it, but I didn't want to spend $60 or $70 on a game that was not incomplete. And that's the that's the honest matter of it. That's everything that's going on with that. That's how I feel about it. So while I still enjoy Infinite, while I still play it, and while I still mop the floor with people on that, while I still enjoy it, I do agree that it's an incomplete game. Incomplete game. So that's all I gotta say about that. I'm still against going against the developers, messaging developers and sending them nasty tweets and nasty messages. Now that's unnecessary. There's a difference between giving criticism and being toxic, and there's a lot of toxicity. So the toxicity I don't accept, but the criticism I do, and rightfully so. But anyway, enough about that. Our next article is about Twitch. Now, what's funny about this, I started dedicating more time to Twitch because, again, earlier, like I said, when I started my Twitch, I was just using that just for the multiplayer games and using YouTube to stream story games. But now I just do all the streaming on Twitch, and what I do is I record my streams. So when I record my streams, I just excuse me. What I do is I record my streams and I just re-upload the streams on the YouTube. If somebody missed a stream, they can come back and watch it. Give me a second. Let me drink this water. So with that being said, when I saw this article, I was like, come on now. I just started dedicating more time to Twitch. And granted, I don't get paid for content creation. Not really. I've got a couple donations, and again, the audio version, I do get paid from that, but it's not a lot. We haven't even hit $1 yet. Which, again, I'm not complaining about it. Anything that comes my way, I greatly appreciate it. Again, I would like to do this as a career, but this is fun to me. This is what I love to do. So it's more than just making money. When it comes to content creation, you have to love it. I'm not gonna get into that, but you have to love it because it takes a while to really break through. But anyway, let's bring up this article, which is from Gizmodo.com. It was published 2 days ago. It was published just Wednesday. And read as follows. Twitch reportedly considering cutting streamers' pay to boost its own profits. A new report suggests the site's top streamers will see their share of subscriptions dip down from 70% to 50%. So 20% loss. And of course the neighbors will decide to cut grass as I'm recording. But you know what? It's all good. 2022 is shaping up to be a rough year for content creators and sellers trying to make a living through major tech platforms. Sellers on Amazon and Etsy are already facing increased fees, and now new pay cuts may reportedly make their way to Twitch. A new Bloomberg report citing people familiar with Twitch. Sorry, my mouth's starting to get dry. But Twitch's pay planning claims the company wants to incentivize streamers to run more ads in addition to considering reducing the portion of subscription fees allocated to performers. Jeez, y'all chose the best worst time. Y'all literally chose the best worst time. Anyway, more specifically, the site's top streamers will reportedly see their share of subscriptions dip down from 70 to 50%, according to Bloomberg. The company is also considering introducing multiple pay tiers with different criteria required to qualify for each. All told, these changes are intended to boost Twitch's profitability, though it could come at the expense of their community's most active users. Twitch did not immediately respond to Gizmodo's request for comment. On the flip side, the sources speaking with Bloomberg said the company may consider easing up on its exclusivity restrictions, which would let creators stream on other platforms and potentially raking in some additional income there as well. Okay. The tentative monetization considerations come amid a time of flux at Twitch. What was that? On one hand, the company is riding high on a pandemic-induced viewership surge. Some 24% of US internet users between the ages of 16 to 64 say they begin watching more live streams during the pandemic, according to Global Web Index data viewed by Insider Intelligence. On the other hand, though, even with that uptick in eyeballs, Twitch is simultaneously reeling from what Bloomberg calls a mass exodus. I think I'm saying that right. Exodus of employees disappointed in the company's direction. Some 300 employees reportedly left Twitch last year, with another 60 leaving in the first 3 months of 2022. Ooh. Some top creators have left too. In the past year, both Dr. Lupo and Tim the Tatman, 2 prominent streamers, left the site for rival YouTube. Twitch streamers aren't the only ones bracing for a financial squeeze from their big tech bosses. Earlier this year, Amazon announced it would add a 5% fuel and inflation surcharge to third-party sellers who use the company's fulfillment centers as a way to offset increased costs. In a notice to sellers viewed by the Associated Press, Amazon said increased hourly wages, construction costs, and new hires during the pandemic were all to blame for the increased price hikes. Still, Amazon wasn't exactly struggling as a company during the pandemic, right? I had my feeling. Anyway, y'all know how I feel about these big corporate companies. In the first quarter of 2021, the company posted a record $108.5 billion in revenue, which comes out to nearly triple its revenue from the same time the previous year. Over at Etsy, sellers went on strike and issued a digital boycott over what they view as exorbitant increases to seller fees. Etsy recently tried to increase seller transaction fees by 30%. Wow. Which would in effect raise the seller fee from 5% to 6.5%. Yeah, that's that. I know inflation is going on. A lot of things start to go up, gas and all that stuff. Now, before I go any further with this, y'all know Twitch is owned by Amazon, right? Y'all know how I feel about corporate companies. Y'all know how I feel about corporate greed and all that stuff. Y'all know how I feel. Y'all making all this money and can barely, y'all choose to barely pay your employees. I mean, come on. Like, anyway. I am not against increased prices if the workers, and I mean the Twitch workers behind the scenes, you know, the employees, their staff, are getting paid more. They're getting these raises. If these funds are going towards executives to get their bonuses, the CEOs and all this stuff, I am totally against this, because it's like, okay, the content creators, I feel like if some of the money that's going towards content creators are going towards the employees of Twitch, that's fine, because at the end of the day, you know, all we have to do is stream just maybe a little bit more, put some more ads or whatever, we'll be fine. You know, why am I saying we? Like, well, I am a content creator, I just don't get paid for it yet. But that's my only thing. If the employees, the regular employees, are seeing the benefits of the price hike, by all means, go ahead. But if not, that's ridiculous. Like they say, Amazon, so many companies, just like the story I told before with Best Buy, and this is why I don't shop from Best Buy no more. When the pandemic hit, they made record-making profits. I don't even remember the number. But then around that same time when they made them record-making profits, the CEO decided to lay off a big chunk of their staff after making all that money. It's like, who you make all this money, but then you cut people because you're saying you're trying to cut costs. For what? You're trying to cut costs, but I made all this money. So where's the money going towards? Who is it going towards? Who you think? the big bosses, the big executives. Y'all know how I feel about corporate greed. So yeah, it's like I said, if the money going towards the employees, fine. But if it's going towards executives and their bonuses and CEOs and all that kind of stuff, the people on the board, screw y'all. Anyway. Let's get to the Star Wars section of the podcast. You know, every single episode, I believe I've done, you know, I've always done at least one Star Wars article, mentioned Star Wars somewhere. So, anyway. So, y'all know they've been working on. Also, I forgot to mention that Star Wars Celebration is right around the corner, actually. I think it's happening on May the 4th, now that I think about it. Yep, it's happening on May the 4th, which I wish I could take off that day, because then I would stream all day. Well, not all day, but majority of the day. But, yeah, I always wanted to go to a Star Wars Celebration. And, you know, with Star Wars Celebration, it's basically a big con when they, you know, they talk about all things Star Wars, new releases, new projects, and all that stuff. And they're supposed to be announcing Jedi Fallen Order 2, or whatever they're going to call the sequel there. And that being said, Jedi Fallen Order sequel may be only coming to the new generation consoles. And this article is from BespinBulletin.com, which was posted on April 27, and read as follows. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order sequel is rumored to be next gen only. It's been over 2 years since the release of the critically acclaimed Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and we're only a month away from seeing the sequel being unveiled to the public. But a new whole month? I thought it was going to be done next. Anyway, let's continue. But a new leak from a reputable insider has revealed the upcoming title will be exclusive to Sony and Microsoft's latest consoles. According to video game journalist and reliable insider Jeff Grubb, I've been hearing that name a lot. The highly anticipated sequel to Jedi Fallen Order will only be arriving on current console generation hardware, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X/S. Microsoft, why did y'all decided to do this naming like this? I have both consoles, but come on. Anyway, I'm sorry, y'all. Along with PC, this means that the title will not be released on last gen hardware. I expect some fans to be pretty disappointed and upset with this news, considering how difficult it is to get a hold of a PlayStation 5 or a Series X. But personally, I think it might be better for the quality of the game, as it won't be held back by the constraints of last generation hardware. And I'm pretty sure fans wouldn't want a Cyberpunk 2077 sort of issue on their hands. The next expected Star Wars video game to release following Fallen Order sequel is Knights of the Old Republic remake, which is rumored to be released in late 2023, and that too will be exclusive to Sony's PlayStation 5. Elsewhere in the video, Grubb reiterates that he believes the sequel will be shown at Star Wars Celebration, which is what I reported back in January and have heard consistently ever since. However, at this time, a panel for Fallen Order or for any video game has not officially been announced for the upcoming event. So it's technically still a rumor for Celebration. If you want to keep up to date with the blah 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 blah, whatever. So that's that. The sequel for Jedi Fallen Order is going to be on a release on, or possibly be only released on new gen, which honestly makes sense because you know, when there's a transition between the old gen and the new gen, yes, they're still releasing games for both, but eventually you're gonna have to make that full transition. You're gonna have to. And Jedi, you know, the new Jedi Fallen Order, I don't blame them. I know some people gonna be mad about it, but honestly, I don't blame them, because they're gonna want to push the game more. Because the previous game, it was amazing, so I'm sure they want to push it even more, and they want to do even more with that. So that's that. Now we got another Star Wars article. Star Wars is working on another animated project. Now, what was it? I think it was last year. Yeah, last year they did what was it called? I can't even think of it. I can't even think of it. The name. Here we go. Last year, I believe they did Star Wars Visions, which were like animated episodes of different takes of Star Wars. They wasn't canon at all, which I don't care. I thought it was pretty good. It was good. It was definitely good, and I liked it. I love it actually. So it was different animation and anime studios that worked on it. So, but this article reads as follows: Lucasfilm is working on another animated Star Wars anthology. A Star Wars Celebration panel listing points to new tales on the horizon. In addition to being an anthology, Star Wars Visions was a brilliant testament to how refreshing and exhilarating the Star Wars franchise can still be when it dares to loosen up a bit and wander off the beaten path of its core saga. That's definitely true. Though a second season of Visions is one of the biggest things fans has been hoping to hear about at this year's Star Wars Celebration, it looks like there's another anthology series to be on the watch for. Though we're still a few weeks out from this year's celebration event, a listing of the convention's panels went up earlier today, along with descriptions of what attendees can expect to see. And what may have been a mistake given how the page was initially pulled, one listing for a panel hosted by the Mandalorians Dave Filoni and Amy Ratcliffe has seemingly confirmed the existence of Tales of the Jedi, a new anthology series of animated shorts. Though the listings doesn't include any information about the show, Tales of the Jedi's title alone is a fairly significant clue about what type of stories it may tell. Dark Horse's 90s era Tales of the Jedi comics chronicled a number of significant moments from the Star Wars expanded universe's history thousands of years before the events of the original films. Tales of the Jedi show could serve as a way to bring some of the Old Republic era's lore back into the Star Wars canon. I am hungry right now. Like my stomach is like talking right now. I don't know if y'all can hear that. I just ate not too long ago. Anyway, I'm sorry, y'all. That was a real big squirrel moment. And perhaps explore some of the ideas being laid out in the High Republic. We won't know what Lucasfilm has in store, though, until Star Wars Celebration kicks off on Thursday, May the 26th. Okay, I'm getting my dates wrong. I thought Celebration was happening on May the 4th, but it's happening on May the 26th. Okay, cool. All right, well, that's that. It looks like they may be working on a new animated series. And let me tell you something real quick. For those that haven't watched it yet, don't sleep on the Clone Wars TV show. Definitely don't sleep on Rebels. Even though Rebels was much more kiddier, it's definitely more, aimed towards a younger audience. It is good. It was definitely good. You could tell it was aimed more towards kids because the violence was definitely, they pulled back the violence much more than they did with Clone Wars, but it was so good. Also Bad Batch as well, and again Star Wars Visions was pretty good. So we'll see what comes from that. And again, like they were saying, hopefully they can loosen up a bit, because hopefully they can bring some Star Wars legends back, because what Star Wars Visions did, and I saw somebody else agree with this as well, what Star Wars Visions did is show that even though stuff isn't canon, we can still bring it to the forefront. So we'll definitely be looking out for that, but again, we won't know till Celebration. Anyway, we got our last article before we get to the advice part, advice part. We're gonna get to the IRL, which stands for in real life stuff, and this is actually locally. This is in Richmond. So Richmond opens a new skate park, and this article is from WTVR.com, and it reads as follows: check out this new skate park in Richmond. Posted on the 25th. Richmond, VA, there's a new place for Richmond skaters to grind, shred, and kickflip. City leaders cut the ribbon at the new skate park at Southside Community Center on Old Warwick Road in South Richmond. The park is part of a $22 million renovation for the center and a part of town that Richmond Mayor LeVar Stoney called often overlooked. Here's the deal, what a community believes and what a community values in their investments. Are they willing to invest in their people? And for far too long, Richmond has been neglectful in investing south of the river. That is true. The true asset of this community is its people. Those who live on this side of town deserve the same amenities that those who live in north side, the east end, and the west end. Yeah, south side kind of gets, whatever. We kind of ignore south side from time to time. Richmond City Councilman Mike Jones, funny enough, he is the pastor of my old church, actually. The church that I used to go to. Yep, he's a good person. He's a really good person. He's awesome. Richmond City Councilman Mike Jones, who represents the 9th District where the park is located, said it was important to him that the skate park made it through the planning and budget process. Even though I'm a football guy, that's true. Yep, he's a football guy because I think his favorite team is the Chargers, if I'm correct. I'm a basketball guy. I committed and wanted the city to double down on ensuring that this skate park survived. And here's why. The 9th District in Southside is one of the most, it's the most convergentalistic, I'm probably saying this word wrong, ECLECTIC, and culturally diverse areas in the city, he said. This ensures that the people that come out and skate, they're not just black here to shoot hoops. They're not just Latinos. We're also getting white folks from Chesterfield, our brothers and sisters from the county coming to Southside to make this destination. He said the skate park was one piece of a larger puzzle to make Southside a diverse and welcoming community. We want to say hablo español. We want to say what's up, dude. We want to be able to say, bruh, how you doing? We want all those languages and cultures, he said. The skate park will also be home to a public art display. So yeah, so this looks like the new skate park. Yep, I'm pulling up the pictures. Yep. And the reason why I brought that up, not because it's my city and I'm familiar with these people, but it's funny. I actually used to skate back in the day. When I was in high school, 11th and 12th grade. I was no Tony Hawk or anything like that. The only thing I could really do was ride and kind of do a kickflip somewhat. But the one thing I always wanted to do is go to a skate park to get my scales up. And the only skate park that I knew of was in Mechanicsville, I believe. We don't have that many skate parks in Richmond, I don't think. I don't think so. So I know there was one in Southside, but I think that was for the YMCA over there. But this is great. This is amazing. Maybe I get a skateboard and try that again. Nah, I don't think I'll ever use a skateboard again. I'll just stick to bike riding. But that's amazing. That's definitely amazing for the city. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. Now, again, this is the part of the podcast where, I like to give like life advice or something I feel like that can help people. Because the thing that I'm going with now, as far as content creation, all this stuff, I just want to entertain and educate. Those are the 2 E's that I'm going with. The entertain and educate. That's what I want to do. I want to feel like, even though, yes, a lot of my stuff is about game, a lot of my stuff is entertainment, I also want to entertain people as well. I also want to help people as well. That's my biggest thing. That's one thing I love to do. Like, yes, I can entertain people all day, but what value does the entertainment have if I can't educate you as well? If I can't, help somebody get to the next step, help somebody, excel whatever's going on. That just like the last episode of the podcast, I was talking about, self-value and mental health and all that kind of stuff. I felt like me telling my story, can help somebody. And I felt like that's what really gives my content value, especially the podcast. And one of the things I want to talk about is always be willing to learn. As long as you're breathing on this earth, you're going to be learning nonstop. Nobody knows everything. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how many colleges you went to. I don't care how many degrees you got. I don't care how many times you travel the world, you will never know everything. You have to, especially if you want to be very successful, if you want to, have huge careers, you always have to be willing to learn. You also have to be willing to ask questions as well. And soon, I'm glad I'm at the end of the podcast because I am hungry now. Like, I'm seriously hungry. Like, the only thing I really ate, I'm having a squirrel moment, but the only thing I really ate was toast and this smoothie that I'm still kind of sipping on right here. Let's take a sip real quick. I don't know what that was, but you always have to be willing to learn. Like, I love learning. I'm always absorbing information. I'm always open to information. Even when I was a kid, that's one thing I always love to do is learn. Like, you know how like when you're young, they always tell you, don't be in grown folks' conversation. Go be a kid somewhere. I was always up under the adults. Even when I was like, I wasn't necessarily putting my input into the conversation because what can I input? But I was always listening. I was always listening when they was talking about stuff. Like when my mom and dad talk about bills, I was always ears. I was always listening because I was like, I want to learn about this stuff. So when I grow up, I'm already prepared. Like, like most kids, when they ride in the car with, ride in the car with their parents or whoever, they might be busy doing this and that, woo, 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 woo. Me, I always paid attention to everything, how to operate the car, turn signal, brakes, gas, the gear shift, all that stuff. So by the time, I was also in the cars as well. So by the time when I was 15, 16, I already knew what everything was. I already knew how to operate everything. Well, majority of everything and all this stuff. Of course, there was always stuff to learn about cars and all that stuff. And I thought, this stuff is normal until, like, even like when I used, when I rode the bus to school and all that stuff. Again, I think I said this before, but the bus, because I went to different elementary schools and then I went to private school and all that kind of stuff, alternative schools, this, that, and the other. So the bus used to come to my house and then we had to pick up other kids at their house and then we had to go to the school. I always paid attention, even when I went in the car with my parents. I always paid attention to where stuff was, how to get to this place, how to get to this place, how to do this, how to do that, where stuff was. Even if I didn't know the street, I always knew that scene. I always, I learned by imagery. So I remember this store is there. I remember this tree is there. I remember, like, my first place that I remember how to really get to was the Walmart on Mechanicsville. That was like one of the first things I really learned. I learned how to get home. I learned how to get to certain people's houses, like my grandma, my mom, my uncles and aunts and all that stuff. I knew how to get to that house before I even learned how to drive. I remember when I first got my car, those the very first destinations I went to, my uncles, my aunts, my grandma, all that kind of stuff. I knew how to get to their houses. I knew I didn't need direction, I didn't need nobody to tell me directions. Now, of course, like new places, of course, I put them in the GPS and this, that, woo, woo, woo. But I learned how to get there. And one of the things I always, like when I used to tell people how to, I taught a few people how to drive, right? And one of the things I always tell people is, if nothing else, you don't have to remember everywhere, how to get to every single place. But one of the few places you should remember how to get to is your house, at least one or two family members' houses, and a gas station. And of course your job as well. You should remember a few spots all at heart. You see what I'm saying? I used to always pay attention to, what roads we get to certain places, how to get to the school, this, that. So again, by the time I was driving, I learned all the back roads and all that kind of stuff, because I was always willing to learn. I was always willing to pay attention. I was always paying attention. And that is, that goes into now. I'm always open-minded. I'm always asking questions. I was always the research person. Once I learned how to use Google and all that stuff, I'm always constantly researching stuff. Once I learned how to, learn about Wikipedia, I know, excuse me. I know the saying about Wikipedia is not the most reliable sources, which is somewhat correct, somewhat true, even though, because different people could make different edits to it. But if you scroll to the bottom of each article, whatever, you see there's multiple sources. So, but that's a whole other story. I was on Wikipedia 24/7, 365, looking up everything. I always want to know how stuff works. I always want to learn as much as possible, which is why I'm into computers now, because I want to know, how does this computer work? How do you fix stuff? How do you... I'm always willing to... ever since I was a kid, I was always willing to learn. And now, like, when I'm at work with my headphones on, my special hat I talk about, the hat that had the headphones inside of it, because we're not allowed to have headphones in the building. But it is so boring that I gotta have the headphones. But anyway, you know what I listen to? I do listen to music sometimes, but I'm always listening to podcasts because I feel like not only they're entertaining, but I also feel like I'm learning stuff from it. You see what I'm saying? I've learned so much through podcasting. I've learned so much. Like the latest podcast that I've been listening to is Brilliant Idiots by Charlamagne the God and Andrew Schultz. And again, I'm going back to Charlamagne. Oh my gosh, they talk about so much stupid stuff in there and so much crazy stuff, and I'll be laughing in that building. People probably be walking by me, it's like, what is he laughing at? What? But I be learning so much stuff. They talk about, politics and all kind of other stuff. And it was funny. This is why I wanted to talk about this subject. The one thing Charlamagne said was, because his mom was a school teacher, his mother taught him to always read stuff that doesn't apply to him. And what she meant by that was, okay, yeah, you black, of course read stuff about black history, black culture, but also read about stuff that you might not be familiar with or interested in, because you might learn a lot more. I forgot what books he said he read, but he said he learned a lot from reading books that has nothing to do with him. Has absolutely nothing to do with him. And that's what I want to start doing, is listening to podcasts that has nothing to do with my interest. Because that podcast that I'm listening to is about comedy, hip hop, all that kind of stuff. But they talk about a variety of things. And I'm always learning stuff on there. I don't remember everything off the top that I learned, but I'm always learning. I always want to learn. I like to ask questions. I'm always on Google, Googling stuff. Just always be willing to learn, people. You never know everything. You never know everything. Even at your job, don't do too much volunteer. Y'all know how I feel about jobs and all that kind of stuff. But volunteer to learn some stuff from time to time. Read a book that has, again, nothing to do with you. Listen to a podcast that has nothing to do with you. With your interests or whatever. You might not be interested in cooking, although I feel like everybody should learn how to cook. That might be my next advice in the next episode. But but listen to a podcast about cooking. You might learn how to cook some stuff. You might learn stuff that's healthy that you didn't even think was healthy. You can learn a lot of stuff by just listening or reading stuff or watching stuff that has nothing to do with you. No, like seriously, like my podcast now, yes, my content is based around gaming, but I also do other stuff outside of that, like mental health. I talk about certain laws, stuff about marijuana, all that kind of stuff. I talk about different things because I want people to learn and get something out of listening and watching my podcast and my other videos and whatever I have to offer as far as my content go. That's me. I'm all about the 2 E's: entertain and educate. What's funny is when I used to rap, when I used to do music, I went by Lil Ice, but I always used to have 2 E's at the end, which confused a lot of people. A lot of people used to call me Lil Icy. Some people used to call me, I remember one guy called me, he used to always call me So Icy. you know, and it just, or people call me Icy. And people have so many variation, you know, different ways of saying my name, and it would just, after a while, I just got tired of correcting people. Just like my name, Ira. After a while, I just stopped. You know, I just stopped correcting people because I thought it gets tiresome. But anyway, when I used to rap, I did it 2 E's, and at first I did it just to be different. But then it was an acronym. The ICEE stands for I'm cool with everything, everyone. And I always used to say in my music, double E. My name is Double E. This, that, whatever. Woo, 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 woo. Now double E has a different meaning for me. Again, I don't rap, but double E has a different meaning for me now. Entertain and educate. Some people that listens to my podcast now or watch my podcast, they may have nothing to do with gaming, but I have people come to me before and say, oh, I learned about this, I learned about that, this, that, woo, 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 woo. I might not be interested in the first topics, but then I learned something. I didn't know about this, I didn't know about that. So, yes, just always be willing to learn. Read a book or two or listen to audiobooks about stuff that has nothing to do with you, and you will learn a lot. You never know what that knowledge may do. Hold on, I need some water. Because I just drank some of that smoothie and I can feel like the seeds and stuff on my teeth, so hold on. But yeah, always, because you never know when that knowledge will come in handy. Because I've learned some stuff out the blues, and then later on in life, it came so handy, whether it's to help me or help out others. So yeah, just always be willing to learn. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the podcast. You know, again, I am hungry. But as usual, I always have fun doing the podcast. I hope everybody learned something. I hope everybody enjoyed themselves. Again, if you want to support me, you already did it by listening to this podcast and also watching the video, which is on youtube.com/IRvingTV, and of course the podcast, the audio version is on Anchor.fm, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and other platforms that it's distributed to. Other ways to support me, of course, the video version, like, share, drop a comment, all that kind of stuff. Audio version, you know, you can always give it a 5-star rating. I like an honest rating, but 5 stars, I prefer 5 stars. Put them 5 stars in there. Anyway, yeah, and again, you're not obligated to, but if you want to make a donation and support the movement, again, my Cash App is $IRvingTV. And I haven't gotten a lot of donations, but I appreciate every single person that has donated to me. I appreciate that, because y'all didn't have to do that. Sorry, my watch was going off. But y'all didn't have to do that, but y'all decided to. Y'all decided to support me, and I appreciate every single of those donations. So again, you're not obligated to, but if you want to, that's an option right there. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this podcast because I'm hungry. My mouth is getting dry, and yeah. So as usual, until next time, promoting peace, gaming, and wings.